Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And the few videos I've made already on the T-Mobile Investors Day, what most of you should have gotten from that information is that T-Mobile is still very ambitious. They are, in my opinion, in some cases, ambitious beyond belief. And they're going to have to invest a ton of money back into this network. All the success that they've enjoyed and all the future success that they will enjoy will come from the wireless network. And it will also come from continued partnerships in fiber and all the other potential M&A acquisitions that they will make. And they will make them. Right? We saw that recently at the Investors Day. They're going to have about $20 billion sitting around waiting to be reinvested. It will either be reinvested into M&A or it will go back into the investors and shareholders. I don't foresee them investing the entire $20 billion into merger and acquisition, but I could see them spending a good portion of the $20 billion back into merger and acquisitions for further accretive partnerships. Like in fiber, they're probably going to buy more JV players, or at least buy a stake into the JV player and resell their fiber using the T-Mobile brand. And a lot of JV players, even maybe a Lumen, they might be interested in that because their business in certain areas might not be growing as they had anticipated or may have wanted. And T-Mobile may be able to boost that growth. And yes, T-Mobile will take some of the income, but they will also pay a percentage to the third party or the partner. So here you have it: demand, customers, brand, distribution. Demand, very important. Got to keep that in mind as we go through this video. And then we have the partnerships so far, right? Metronet, Lumos, wholesale partners. So Metronet and Lumos are the companies that they actually bought stake in. The wholesale partners, that's like Tillman, Intrepid, some of the fiber players in Colorado, the ones that they did partnerships with out of New York City. So they can easily, like I said, that $20 billion that they will have left over, if you will, to reinvest, they can easily make a phone call to those wholesale partners and say, hey, we have about $2 to $3 billion that we have set aside for you to scale and grow that business. They can very easily do that. So it puts them in a very flexible position, and they call it flexible spending. It puts them in a very flexible position. But, that's just one part of a new business that allows them to gain more growth and for it to be accretive to the business. The other part is, right, the demand. There's going to be big demand on T-Mobile as they grow and grow and grow. So as the Un-carrier phases out, and most of you, it's already done, right? The Un-carrier. Some of you might say, well, it's still there a little bit. They even now, as they call themselves the champion and they're no longer the disruptor, they're still going to have to be risk takers and innovative in some way, shape, or form. As they want to continue growing in a saturated market, they're going to have to be different in some way, shape, or form. As they want to take share from first responders, as they want to go from the micro to the mid-sized in business, they're going to have to be unique and different, and they're going to have to take some risks. They're going to have to do it. So the unique growth formula, they think they have it down pat. They think they have the right balance. Best network, best experience, best value. That's their strategy for the unique growth formula. And then you have it broken down here: 30% network, 32% price value, 23% experience, 10% other, and 5% bundle discounts, right? The convergence. So again, the convergence, even for T-Mobile, according to this chart, does not play a huge factor. So they're probably not going to stress that as much. They're going to offer it, and they might even throw in a little bit of a discount if you bundle with FWA, but they're not gonna push that any further than it needs to go, because according to their drivers of wireless switching, it's just not a huge factor. And Verizon says the same. I think Verizon reported like 9% last year. So it's not a big deal for them. AT&T, they make it a big deal. They heavily push the discounts and everything for bundling. Now you can even get a free 15 Pro Max, maybe a 16 Pro Max, bundling wireless and fiber, right? So they're really making it attractive to the customer to want to bundle. So it's a totally different strategy. T-Mobile and Verizon look at it. We offer it. If you want to do it, we can do it. We have the capability. AT&T is like, no. You're going to bundle. And if you're not going to bundle, I'm going to ask my team, my sell reps, how come you did not bundle that customer? They're literally that aggressive going after the convergence. But you can see the breakdown here for T-Mobile, their unique growth formula. They believe it's the best network, the best experience, the best value. But the next slide, as you continue growing, right, growing fixed wireless access customers to 12 million, and I'll be very honest, they will never say this publicly, but in some areas where they've grown the fixed wireless access to a certain number where it loads up the sectors and the slots are filled, the network struggles in some of those areas. I'm living proof, and I'm just a small sample size, and it probably will be considered, not probably, it's anecdotal, that I started a year ago with FWA at my new address. It worked fine, but now a year later, I'm having issues. I called in, like I said in a previous video, tier 2 home internet techs. They have different software now. They can much easier and quickly identify troubled areas without having to contact the engineering team, having to create a trouble ticket. The engineers reach back out to them. They have to contact the customer 2 days later. Now it's totally different. They can tell you right then and there. They have the software now to run a speed test remotely, and they can backtrack like weeks of data to see what's going on in the area. And for me, it was they literally told me, your sector you're connected to is high utilization. It's too high. You have certain big drop-offs during the day on speed, and that area no longer qualifies for home internet. That's what they literally told me. So for the most part, later on in the evening, it still works fine, but I do notice some buffering here and there and some other stuff. So it's not as cut as dry as they make it out. It's easier said than done. Will they get to 12 million? Very likely. But throughout that process, they will experience churn, right? Maybe even increased levels of churn. They will have to compete. Cable is starting to compete more aggressive. So they will have to start firing back with promotions during certain quarters, as I mentioned in the previous video, dropping the price for certain, maybe even at a regional level. They're going to have to look at this. The demand, as I pointed out in the first slide, is going to be there. As soon as you drop price, as soon as you become more promotionally active, the demand is going to increase for this product. As soon as they moved it, even just $10, as soon as they moved the goalpost on price, demand immediately slowed down. So now you know what it's going to take to pick up demand again, right? So now T-Mobile is saying there's going to be a new CPE unit, a new router that has 8 antennas versus the previous ones that have 4, which will allow for faster speeds and them to be able to add more users onto the same sector. They pointed that out at the analyst day. And then all you have to do pretty much is to get back to the 500,000 growth quarters, you just have to lower the price. That's pretty much what the numbers tell you. And you can see it here. Another way that they're telling you they're going to get to 12 million is advanced network technologies. They're going to launch 5G Advanced this year. Ongoing 5G spectrum deployment. A lot of that is refarming. They still have C-band, but really no timeline as to when they deploy that. Precision marketing, like I said, regional. At the regional level, they can drop price. They can lower price for a few weeks. However they see fit, they can achieve it if they choose to, which they will have to because they guided. They usually underguide and over deliver. So that's T-Mobile's way of doing things. So the 12 million is likely a lower guide than they will actually hit. And then, like I said, like I just mentioned, the CPE advancements. They're going to release a new unit. I have somebody already on it. They're tracking the FCC page to see what this new unit may look like. But it's coming, right? It's coming in the short term. It's not a midterm, long term. It's coming in the short term. They really want to push 12 million by 2028, and they're going to do just about anything and everything to get there. But like I said, they're going to have to be risk takers. They're going to have to differentiate themselves because everyone else eventually is going to get tired of it. Verizon and AT&T are sitting back, right, for the last few years and saying, T-Mobile's not a threat. And that's what they said during LTE too. Even when T-Mobile was at their peak growth, AT&T and Verizon were like, they still can't compete in these segments. They still can't touch us on enterprise and the mid-sized, right? They're still really in the micro environment in terms of competing. Now it's a totally different story, different ball game. So eventually Verizon and AT&T will have to cave, and they will have to respond to T-Mobile. They will have to make that a part of their business strategy to compete back. They will have to run a price analysis, a number analysis on how T-Mobile is affecting their business. That's just how it's going to be moving forward. And then if Dish can get off the ground with disruptive pricing, everyone's going to have to look at that too now because of the economy and the situation that we're currently going through. With the presidential election, who knows what happens. But that's what's going to happen. So the demand, T-Mobile's going to have to create the demand. Right at the $50, $60 price point for FWA, the demand is just not going to all of a sudden be there. They're going to have to create it. So a lower price, of course, creates demand. A $500 PlayStation, as an example, with FWA, that creates demand. So their customer acquisition cost is probably going to increase quite severely to get to that $12 million number. But they know how to do it. They know how to execute it. They are going to be the first to get to their 7 to 8 million target. So cable, you better watch out, right? There's going to be lots of FWA competition, and we're going to get an updated guidance from Verizon as well for FWA, which is likely going to be maybe in the 9 to 10 million range. So they're going to be up there too. So cable has to be careful. Even fiber has to look out, right? If the pricing gets reasonably lower for FWA to create demand for several weeks, I mean, fiber is going to be in the crosshairs too here, right? Fiber is a better product, better performing product, but it is in some cases significantly more expensive. If FWA comes in at $40 or $30 price point, I mean, fiber is going to be, $30, $40, $50 more, in some cases 60, 70, depending on what tier you choose. So this is going to be an interesting ride to follow, but the investment, T-Mobile is going to have to invest big. They can't just rest on their laurels and not do anything. They're going to have to invest. They're going to have to deploy. Maybe they didn't present the next chapter of wireless deployments because of competitive reasons, because now AT&T and Verizon really see them as a threat. Very possible. But I would have liked to see, hey, we're going to increase our small cell count by 10,000. We're going to increase our site count by 15,000. I would have really liked to see that because it's very important, a very important detail for this next phase of growth. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.